On this episode of Fatherhood, find out how a local hometown hero almost loses everything. I mean, it was all good. He had a great family, he's playing sports, but the allure of the street almost got the best of him. Did some time, but during that time, he was able to learn some major life lessons. I think some of those lessons we can learn from. So stay tuned. Check out this story.
Third grade, I had heard all the fat jokes.
The most valuable thing you can be for somebody is being consistent.
Somebody asked me, baby, just tell me, baby, was you selling dope? And I could never wrap my mind around that until I had ruined a good name. When I got in prison, God is good, became a whole, it was something different. He said, son, when you get in my courtroom, you've made more than just one mistake. You've made a series of mistakes.
Hey, what's up, family? Welcome to another episode of Fatherhood, where we are breaking cycles and we're building families. I have an amazing guest with me today. I know you're really going to enjoy him. Help me welcome Steve Jones.
How we doing?
I'm
Pastor?
good, man. How you doing?
Doing great,
Good,
man.
I'm happy to have you with us, man.
Hey, very grateful for the opportunity to come in and share.
Yes, sir. Good, man. So I usually start the podcast off by asking, who are you? So who is Steve Jones?
Well, that's a very basic but could be complex question. I mean, who I am today versus who I've been in different stages of my life. And as of today, I'm a husband, I'm a father, I'm an advocate for education, I'm an advocate for fatherhood, I'm an advocate, I'm an encourager, I'm a motivator, I'm a school counselor, I'm a social worker. I wear a lot of different hats, but I am a man of God, and I am somebody who weathered the storm, man.
Yeah.
I'm a survivor.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
I'm like the Winans said, millions didn't make it, but I happen to be one of the ones that did.
Yeah,
I'm here to
yes,
tell
sir.
my story.
That's right.
By the grace of God.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love to hear that, man. I think that's outstanding. I will say I think you forgot one, though.
What's that?
Comedian.
Well, I try to, you know what? I've had a great sense of humor all my life. I've embraced it.
Yeah.
It's a good icebreaker, but I try to, even I do encouraging words a little day at church on Sunday, and sometimes I had a congregation laughing too much, and I say, hey, I got to be serious. I want to be serious. I'm going to be serious this Sunday.
Yeah.
I try to get up there and be serious, but it's just who I am. I say that on my job. I switch jobs. I be like, you know what? When I start this new job, I'm going to come in and I'm going to be more serious, more private. I'm not going to be so personable with people. But then it's like God say, the day you stop being who you are, you're going to miss it. Mm-hmm. It's your gift. Be who you are. And I try to be the person who pump life into the room and not suck life out the room.
Oh, that's exactly what you do.
That's what I try to be.
Yeah, man.
And it's effortless. I mean, I've been doing it ever since. I'm the entertainment at Thanksgiving dinner. They ask if I'm going to be there, whether if the turkey going to be done.
I love it.
So that's what it is.
I love it, man. Well, we want you to be you, man. We want you to share some things about you. And so, man, make us laugh and let's talk and let's just be Steve, man. So take us back to, man, as far as you want to go back, talk to us about childhood. This is Fatherhood podcast. So, talk to about what that family dynamic, upbringing, that type of thing. What'd that look like?
Well, I'm a PK. I'm a pastor's kid.
Yeah, we heard that.
Yeah. So they give a PK. They already have bets on them getting in trouble. So
did they win?
Yeah, they did. But they cashed out.
They cashed out on you.
Yeah. But mom and dad and brother and sister at home. My mom raised 3 of her siblings. She lost her mom at an early age when she was at the age of 19. So she raised some of my aunts and 2 of my aunts and my uncle. So we grew up with like a blended family that was kind of. But as an age, we felt like we had older brothers and sisters.
Right.
But childhood was great, man. We was raised up in the church, taught right from wrong, great providers. I mean, I never want to be one of those people who get where I'm at in life and discredit
Yeah.
mom and daddy for what they taught me, for what they provided, and the leadership they provided. But it still didn't lessen my mistakes. It still didn't, it helped me find my way back. It did do that, but I still grew up and I realized that good parents make you safe until a certain point, but eventually you're going to have to hold your own umbrella. Somebody else is holding it for you. You don't never get wet, so you underestimate what's out there. So my childhood, fun, man. I mean, no problems. Tough skin. I've been a fat boy all my life, man. So I guess that's where a lot of my sense of humor come in. That I had heard by third grade, I had heard all the fat jokes. I mean, I kind of wouldn't. I would give you a standing ovation if you could tell me a new one, if you had something original. But at the same time, it taught me how to shoot back, literally. Don't mislead nobody. We're not shooting. We are not. We are against violence. So I'm saying it taught me how to joke back. It became a defense mechanism. You take that shoot part out there because I don't want to, But it taught me how to protecting myself. I learned how to make people laugh by people being out of pain, not having that self-esteem and that confidence. But once I learned how to love who I am and learned how to grow up and just throughout time, man, it just became part of my personality. But I had to learn how to have a sense of humor without hurting other people's feelings. So I had to learn how to really provide happiness and joy, not so much of insults and not so much of inciting fights or anything like that.
I want us to, kind of press in on that whole, you said something that was very important, great childhood, parents were there, instilled things in me, leadership, all these things. However, I made my own mistakes. They gave me something to come back to, which I think is very valuable. And I say this all the time, we have to learn to be a lighthouse. Sometimes the most valuable thing you can be for somebody is being consistent. So when they do have that, their eyes open, they know where to come back to. Correct. But in our minds, both parents, wonderful family, you have these uncles who are kind of like older brothers type of thing. Man, you set up, you shouldn't make any mistakes. So what made you go against being raised in church, these type of things? Can you remember back when you decided, just kind of, I want to try something different, or I want to see what's out there? Was it somebody that influenced you? Was it, what did that look like?
When a lot of times people like to use the term, you don't want to start running with the wrong crowd.
Yeah.
Well, God created the whole crowd, the entire crowd. So there's no such thing as the wrong crowd. They might be in a different chapter of their life and a different season of their life, but I had to learn that the hard way because some of the nicest people I've met was doing wrong. Some of the most kind people, some of the people that was more caring for me weren't necessarily what you would call upstanding people in the community, but I saw different qualities in them. Now, some of these questions you're asking, I've asked myself, like, how did it happen? Because I'm more so, I'm skipping around. Just ride with me.
Gotcha.
I ended up getting indicted. I ended up in the streets. I don't want to put the buggy before the horse. I ended up in the streets. I had friends that was more influential, not by form of peer pressure, though. I had interest. I had interest in what they was doing. I had access. Now, if I say anything about people as I teach kids now, I think it's just like, for instance, if you had a friend who daddy had a lawn service, you probably could get your grass cut quicker than me.
Right.
Or if you had a daddy who cut hair,
right,
you probably could get a cut after the shop closed.
Right.
Different friendships give you access.
Right.
And that was the way the streets was. I had became friends with different people that when the interest was there, the access was there. And but I will say in a lot of my friends' defense, I was the friend they tried to protect. They tried to keep me from myself. So I'd be wrong to be sitting up here and say, yeah, I was running with the wrong crowd. They made me do this. I remember when I was the square. I was the person they said, hey man, we finna fight dogs. You need to go across town and come back. Hey, we about to do this. Go across town and come back. Because I was good company to have, but people didn't want to see me in trouble.
Wow.
So they tried to protect me. Like, I remember times even, I remember first 1 or 2 times, because once you're in the streets, you get out of character. I remember stepping out on the club scene. You don't got your money, you got your little jewelry, you want to be seen. You out there, got to show folks that you really out there.
Right.
And I remember going to the club and people were just like, boy, what you doing in here? Well, your mom and daddy gonna kill you. I'm like, man, why you doing me like that? You know, but it was like that process. Now that I look back in hindsight, that transformation process. I remember people telling me at one point, you done changed. But they didn't realize I was trying to change. I thought I was changing for the better, though, because the streets had perks that came with it that would seem more attractive. It was mainstream. It was attention-seeking. It was some perks to come with it. It had a good care package. And, you know, and people don't see the other side. You know, they don't. We get on to the other side in a minute when you start. They don't talk about the part when you're walking and crying and you're praying and you're calling on everybody else to pray for you, too. But that don't come. That's after you get in the crock pot. Yeah. You ain't in there yet, you know. So to get influenced, to get out there, I don't know. Yeah. I took, because it wasn't money. I mean, I was well taken care of. I had everything the dope boys had. At the age of 18, I had 3 cars. I had a 64 Impala, a 318 BMW, and a 735 BMW. And I had rims and music and anything on all 3 of them. And I was a spoiled kid. So mom and daddy always gave me, I was just stupid. I wasn't dumb. I was stupid.
Wow.
And I didn't realize when, I remember them always telling me, you don't want to ruin a good name, but I didn't know what that meant. Don't ruin a good name. Don't ruin a good name. And I could never wrap my mind around that until I had ruined a good name.
Wow.
And then I said, oh, this is what they was talking about. When you start getting denied opportunities because of your past, when you start having people pass judgment on you, when you start feeling like, wow, I done got myself in more than I can handle. You don't ruin the good name at that point.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, you out there now. You done jumped out there and you doing your thing and folks thinking like, hey, man, he done bumped his head. What's his problem?
But I was living a double life.
Yeah, okay.
I wasn't your typical, like, I was more afraid of letting mom and daddy down than I was the feds.
Wow.
So I wouldn't, if you was in the mix, you knew I was in the mix. But if you wasn't in the mix,
right, we're
going to just label you as a hater or you just gossiping because you hadn't saw me do nothing because I had all this before. You know what I'm saying? I kind of blended in. My lifestyle didn't really change so drastic that I went from walking around barefoot to now I got Jordans. I'm walking around on a bike. Now I got cars. I had all this stuff before then, and people knew that I was well taken care of, so I could kind of hide a little bit easier.
Man, that's exactly what I was gonna ask you because it had to be easier to hide.
It was
because not a lot changed. If you had this already, and didn't even hide from your parents because it's like
I was hiding from them.
Yeah,
and as things went on, I guess I got a little more comfortable, I remember the first time doing something wrong, my heart was racing, just like from point A to point B, I went at ease because this was a new area.
Right.
But the more I did it, the slower the heartbeat got, because it became my new normal. And now you could look at something illegal just like you got a bag of French fries in the car with you. You was just that comfortable. And that's a bad place to get to. When you become so comfortable with then doing wrong that you don't even think that anything can go wrong. And I never imagined I would become, like I said, now that I look back at it, I was a complex situation, because people like me can hide. And then hiding takes lying. It takes a lot of dishonesty. It make you practice a lot of bad habits. See, I was wearing a mask before Corona came out. I was wearing my mask. So I was being two type of people. I mean, the streets love me, but church folk love me. The older crowd, because I'm a good time. I'm a good character. I had a good attitude when I was doing wrong.
Right.
I never became just like what I would call a savage. And like you said, I was never a gangster. I was a hustler. I wanted money, but I had this conversation with somebody earlier. I said, man, I believe I was doing counseling and didn't realize it, because I was like the people who I was surrounded around that I was influential to. If them and their girlfriend was arguing, they called me to come over there and be the peacemaker. I'm like, hey, man, you can't be hitting her, man. You can't be slapping around. That ain't what we do. You know, I'm doing wrong, but still think I'm doing right.
Think you're doing right.
And you can't. It's not a right way to do wrong.
Right.
And you can't.
Right.
But that's the corrupt mind of when you get intertwined in that spider web, that it corrupts everything of your thinking. And now you actually think you kind of had a Robin Hood syndrome, where you think you can go rob from the rich and give to the poor, and it's gonna balance it out. So out the checks and balances.
One hand wash the other one.
Yeah, and it doesn't work out that way.
Yeah.
But I do, by the grace of God, I thank God for allowing me to make it through what I am, to become who I am, and He's still opening doors. He's still doing great things in my life. But I don't look back. I don't know. I want to say I don't regret. I regret some of my actions. I regret some of my choices, but I don't regret the journey. I wouldn't be who I am if you changed any of it.
Right.
I wouldn't have the skill set. I wouldn't have the compassion. I wouldn't have the insight. I wouldn't have my relationship with God like I have today without my mess. If you change any of my mess, I could be walking into it this week instead of back then. So I'm just, I don't know. God is good, man.
Yeah, well,
keep the questions coming. I know I'm all over the place, man. You get me to thinking about, man,
you right on the money. You right on the money. You know, it just reminds me of Romans 8:28. All things working together. You know.
Yeah.
For the good of them who love God, who called according to His purpose. You know what I mean? So it all works. You know, I often say that God doesn't waste any of it. You know, He uses it all for His glory. You know what I mean? So yeah, when you look back, you know, what is the best choices to make? Maybe not. Probably not. But it did make you who you are. It brought you to this point. And you're able to have even firsthand experience for others, so they know, like, you know.
Well, it got a little bit deeper, and I get indicted by the feds.
Yeah.
Once I got indicted, that was just like devastation. I remember Mama asking me, because I kept on lying, still didn't want to accept the truth.
Yeah.
Still didn't want to tell them the truth. Didn't want to disappoint. I remember her asking me, baby, just tell me, baby, was you selling dope? I said, Mama, I'm just going to tell you, Mama, I was. I said, and I promise I ain't going to do it no more. And I felt like the day that I finally came real with my parents was the day I got free. I knew, mean, I had been praying and praying and praying, asking God to do this and do that. But this was a devastation because, I'm married with 4 kids at this point.
Wow.
And I'm thinking about my family. I remember days, wife and kids be at school, wife at work, and I'm going through court, and I'm just at home crying, looking at sermons, reading, listening to music, because I didn't know what tomorrow is going to be like. I'm about to experience something I've never experienced before.
Yeah.
I know I'm going to prison.
Yeah.
I don't know for how long, but and it'll take a longer interview for me to just get into some more key points in my life where God had, I saw what was going to happen before it really happened.
Yeah.
I remember having a mentor, Mr. Eric Bush. He's passed away. And I remember Mr. Bush, he was a car dealer. And he had hopes of opening up his own Cadillac dealership. And I remember him, even with me having great parents, he had stepped in and became like a mentor to me.
Yeah.
He started calling me, and he made me think different. He made me want to do different, because mom and them don't know what I'm into.
Yeah.
He has never said he know what I'm into, but I'm under the impression he knew something, because
right.
he started calling a little regular.
Yeah.
And he never had a spiritual conversation with me trying to pressure me into any walk or into anything spiritually. But whenever I would call him and he answered the phone, I said, man, how we doing? He said, I'm covered, brother. How about you? Mm-hmm. And now, after about the third or fourth time, I'm like, oh, okay. I said, so Mr. Eric saved now. Mm-hmm. He in the church. Yeah. So I'm getting the context clues in which I'm hearing the positivity. He said, man, when I open up this dealership, I want you to be my general manager. He said, I want you to go take the classes and become my general manager. And for a smaller glimpse, I started thinking of an escape. Like, I'm going to be able to walk away from this and do something great.
Right.
I didn't want to walk away and do something regular.
Yeah.
It sounded good.
Yeah.
It's a general manager, And one day my wife came home. She said, hey, did you know Eric's sick? I said, sick? She's like, yeah, they announced something at church, And I just panicked. I called him because he lived in the subdivision up the street from us. Mm-hmm. I called him. I said, hey, man, what's this my wife talking about? He said, man, come up here to the house. And I go up his house, and he's in his man cave. And he said, man, God wants you to witness this miracle he about to perform firsthand. And so when he's saying that, I'm thinking he relating it to his illness and what he had going on. But I never forgot the word he said, firsthand. Mm-hmm. Because at that time, I remember a couple of days prior to that, I had been praying, asking God to take this out of my life. I started asking God to take the dope out of my life, take the streets out of my life.
Yeah.
Whatever's standing between me and you, God, remove it.
Yeah.
A lot of weird stuff started happening so fast, real fast. So when he tell me that, I was like, okay, secondhand smoke. They told us in school, secondhand smoke, somebody else smoking a cigarette. First hand, you got it in your hand. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, okay, God want me to see this miracle he about to perform firsthand. And I swear to you, man, Pastor, when I get my, there's other warnings that came place after that, and I remember going to his funeral, his service when he passed, and something strange happened to me that day where I could feel God moving on my life, right? Mm-hmm. But at the same time, every week I kept on saying, I'm going to get rid of this last little bit I got. Mm-hmm. I ain't going to re-up no more. Mm-hmm. I'm going to get rid of this. And I'm just being transparent.
Yeah,
I don't know no other way. So whoever watched this, don't judge me, love me.
We appreciate it,
and I'm
man.
trying to touch who need to be touched.
Needs
This
to be
might not
heard.
be for you. Yeah. If you feel some kind of way watching this and seeing me be as transparent, it ain't for you. Just pass it along to who needs to hear it. But it was to make a long story short, I denied the opportunity to get right with God once again. Mm-hmm. When I got my indictment papers, I got indicted the day after his funeral. Those dates moved me because I'm like, I remember I couldn't understand what I was feeling that day.
Yeah.
I felt like something was just over me.
Yeah.
And so now when I look back, and I look back at how good God has been to me through the process.
Yeah.
I mean, going through prison. So now I'm in trouble, I'm going through prison. God allowed me to develop. A lot of people start telling me, hey, this is not going to be punishment. This is going to be development. Yeah. Well, you know, that's easier said than done if you're not going. If you're not the one going.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But now hindsight is 50-50. Now that I look back at it, it definitely developed me.
Yeah. Before you got there, though, I think it's important, man, to highlight the mentor that you had. You know, because a man speaking into a man's life makes all the difference. And so even while he was, you know, going through his process of sickness, he's trying to encourage you. He's not, you know, trying to be down on you, even though he knows something's going on. Yep. He's like, let me give this young man a glimpse of hope to let him know there's another way. Yep. And, you know, so it's so important that we, as those who are kind of, like you said, in hindsight, and we see those coming behind us, that we can share something, man, and build those relationships where we can mentor others and pour into their life. That is valuable. That's super valuable.
That's the mentor that he stepped in when I was 100% lost.
Yeah.
Right before the trouble came.
See, sometimes, man, I ain't mean to cut you off, man.
Go
but
ahead.
You know,
Come on.
I'm just saying that sometimes that's what's missing. Yeah. We want to mentor folks who are almost
finished
there.
Product.
They're the finished product. They there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That type, they're doing good. They got this. He said, I was 100% lost.
Yeah. Yeah, I was full-fledged.
I love to hear that.
He stepped in then. But then, once I get indicted and started the court process, my daddy was up in Huntsville getting some radio advertisement for a gospel singer he had coming up. And he meets the owner of the radio station. They get to talking. And that guy chose to mentor me. He was like, I want to talk to him every day. Well, once a week until he go to court.
Wow.
So we had a day that we would talk on. I would call him.
I love that.
He owned like 3 radio stations and 2 insurance companies. Money wasn't an issue for him. I didn't ever ask him for none, but I should have. But he had a wealth of knowledge, and he had such a humble spirit. So I would talk to him. His name was Mr. Huntley Butts out of Huntsville. And not only that, he grew up with my judge, the judge on my case. He was like, oh man, his kids eat at my house. His kids like my kids, and my kids like his kids. I said, and it was such a strange thing. So I'm talking to him. He's like, son, when you get ready to go to court, I'm going to court with you. God had his hands all on the situation, so mean that time we get on the court docket, my probation officer tell me, say, hey, this judge you got don't play. You got one of the meanest judges. He's strict. He had a massive heart attack time we got on his caseload.
Oh, wow.
He was off the bench for almost 2 years. They was going to have to call a judge out of retirement to take his cases. So I'm like, man, I hope he have a change of heart.
Yeah.
Because we've heard that he's had a heart attack.
Right.
So we get in, that guy, the mentor, Mr. Huntley, told me he's going to go to court with me. And court starts, and he showed up.
Oh, wow.
And when he showed up.
And that's his guy.
That's his guy. The judge said, he told me to introduce everybody I had with me and everybody. And he told him, he said, I know that young man right there. He said, I take that man word over anybody's in the courtroom. He called him up to speed.
Oh, wow.
I've never seen that like this in no federal court. He said, and he went up there, he told me, said, Your Honor, he said, I met Stephen by way of his father. I don't know him on a personal level, but I know he come from a good family. He said, how he ended up in your courtroom, I don't know. He said, but I can promise you this, you'll never see him again. He said, and if you let him walk out this courtroom today, I promise you, you won't see him again. And I keep him up under my wing. He said all the right stuff. Mm-hmm. And he said, just said, no, I can't let him walk out. He said, at this point, in which I beg for leniency as myself, and I remember him saying, this is a key point, I tell kids this right here. I remember Judge making a statement. I said, Judge, I'm begging you for leniency. I made a mistake. He said, son, when you get in my courtroom, you've made more than just one mistake. You've made a series of mistakes. I've created some, and so at this point, I look at it back now, I had created some patterns. Mm-hmm. See, all mistakes are not documented. Right. They only indicted me once. But I had broke the law more than once. Right. So you know, it was time for me, if I had to use the analogy, I had walked through Walmart and I've been putting stuff in my buggy, but I hadn't checked out yet. Yeah. It was time for me to pay. Mm-hmm. You know, it was time for me to ring everything. Because it don't cost anything to take it off the shelf. Right. I can put whatever I want to in there. 4 hams, case of ribs, whatever. But it was time for me to pay for what I thought I had got away with. Yeah. But grace still took some of it. God still say, I'm gonna take some of them off for you, because if I got everything I should have got, I'd still be in there right now. Yeah. You would have to do this podcast over the phone, collect call. But with that being said, how
long were you there?
28 months altogether. I did the drug program. It took 12 months off. Got 6 months halfway house. I had good time, but life change. Yeah, first time offender. I'm talking about first time offender, man. Yeah. Never had nothing but speeding tickets. So this was like, and then our community. I ain't saying my family ain't all that. I mean, people just use that figure of speech, keeping up with the Joneses. We not the ones they're talking about. We the other set. We the other set. They had to be talking about something in Mississippi or somewhere, because we wasn't that set that they were trying to catch up with. But to the standards in our city, what people was used to, it was shocking for people to see me go down that road. Yeah. And it was like shocking for people. People so crazy, man. They just really didn't think I would go to prison. They really thought I would just flake out and do something underhanded and put somebody else in my place. Mm-hmm. This was a growing time for me to show who I am. And God showed me who he was. Yeah, absolutely. Because before then, I mean, water, gas, lights, food and stuff, God had been good, but it was a cliche. It was just something grandmama always said, and we kept saying that God is good, God is good. Mm-hmm. When I got in prison, God is good became a whole, it was something different. Yeah. When I got in trouble, I really saw God was good. Yeah. I saw how he took my mess and created a pretty good guy. You know, he took my mess and opened up some good doors for me, man. Gave me an opportunity to. And I give him all the glory. It's not even about me. Yeah. It's not about me. It's not about me at all.
But you said something, man, and you know, it's fatherhood. So we got to go back to that. You talked about along that process, 4 children, all of that. So how did that impact just you being out in the street, man? Did it make you want to slow down? Did it make you want to go harder? Did you even, you know, what, as a father, you know, how did that play in the mix of the lifestyle?
Well, first, let me say this openly. My mama and daddy didn't deserve what I did. Yeah. And I've had the best dad in the world.
Mm-hmm.
I mean that from the bottom of my heart, not just financially, but I wouldn't know what love is. Taught me how to love, taught me how to help people, taught me how to be patient, taught me how to understand other people. I mean, collectively, mom and dad have done a wonderful job. So they gave me a blueprint coming into fatherhood that I had that part of it down, but I started creating a family before I had a plan.
Mm-hmm.
See, I've never had a planned pregnancy. I learned on the fly, and then kids don't come with no manuals.
Mm-hmm.
You don't really get no instructions with them, and batteries are not included. So we had to learn everything as we went, and I didn't really know. I thought being in the streets, I actually thought I was a good father because I could give them everything they wanted. And that right there, I never even balanced the two to say, I shouldn't be doing this. I have kids. Because you're actually, for anybody who's been in the street or done anything wrong, your responsibilities are influence you just as much in the wrong thing as it will to go get up and go to work on a job. But somebody whose mind is, if you don't change the thought process,
right.
they using that as a motivation. I got to go get it. I got to get up and do something. I got to go get this money. Not realizing you actually thinking you motivated to provide for your family, but you taking a chance of dying. You taking a chance of leaving them forever. You taking a chance of leaving a void that will never be filled.
Right.
And you don't think like that because that's a reasonable mind. When you're in the street, you're not reasonable anymore. You're not even thinking. The smartest person in the world becomes dumb once he starts making fast money.
Man, hey,
I swear to you.
But you said it off camera. You said one of your issues was you were smart.
Yeah.
You know,
too smart for
your own good.
Yeah. And guess what? Anybody that know got family members in the street, friends in the street, whatever, some of the most brilliant people you ever met just needed some direction. Just needed somebody to say, hey, let's start cleaning windows and get a contract with all the restaurants versus supplying this right here.
Right.
Let's go from being the weed man to be the weave man. Sell some weave instead of some weed. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Just change the product.
Yeah.
You know, and I tell you, I have friends that's judges now because once I get on into talking about some of my career paths since then, that I told them I realized it wasn't anything wrong with my hustle and my grind. It was my product that was against the law. Everything else was perfect. So it was interchangeable. My customer service skills was good. I was a good communicator. All those skills was transferable. You just had to take the part off that'll get you locked up.
Right.
Take the dope out. So now, now I got hope. So it just, you know what I'm saying? It just interchanged. And I can talk about this with a smile, man, but I should be over here boo-hooing and crying because it was some tears shed, man. It ain't been easy. It hadn't been easy.
How were your children when you got indicted?
Ooh, I had to go back through them ages, boy, because I know my youngest was 5, and he's 19 now. So they all was like, 5th grade, I think 5th grade, 2nd grade, and 1st and kindergarten, if I must break it down in grades.
Yeah. Was that one of the toughest parts of being away?
Yeah, because I didn't see them. I didn't let them come and see me. They put me in West Virginia, up there at Beckley, West Virginia, and I didn't want them to see me without control, and I didn't want them to see that to think prison was just about a bunch of vending machines, shiny boots, starch suits. It don't really give you a real outlook on what's going on inside. That it could be misleading to a kid because it minimizes the impact. It paints a picture like, hey, let's go sit in here and eat a couple of honey buns with daddy, get a couple of drinks out the drink machine, and hug on each other and catch up and talk about how many touchdowns or tell them about what you did at school. And nah, I didn't want it. But at the same time, after so long, the guards going to come through there and they're going to do count. They're going to make everybody get up, going to make everybody line up. I just didn't want them to see me in that form of restriction and controlled environment. To just, I felt like it gave them some thoughts, that some ideas that they wouldn't forget. I never wanted them to see me like that. But we do talk about, I remember getting one of my letters one day, go catch mail, walk back up there and sit on the rack. And it was one of my daughters that wrote me, and she was like, Daddy, I heard footsteps coming up the steps this morning to wake us up for school, because that was my job. I'm going to go upstairs, wake the kids up. I'm going to go down there, put breakfast on. I was the morning duty guy. And when she said,
even running the streets, that was
I still was trying to be a daddy.
Yeah.
I still was dropping them off. I still never done anything in front of them.
Yeah.
And she said, Dad, I was hoping when my door opened it was you, but it was Mama. I can't wait till you get back home, Dad. I miss you. Boy, when I read that thing, it was like somebody turned the shower on.
Yeah.
Everybody looking over there, you all right, bro? You all right? Yeah, I'm good. I'm straight.
Yeah.
I'm straight. You know, it was tough.
Yeah.
It was tough, but by the God kept my kids, man.
Yeah.
All my kids end up going to school on scholarship. My oldest is a nurse, and my next to the oldest is a nurse. She about to be a nurse practitioner. One going to school to be a doctor, and my son is a business major. So by the grace of God, even in the midst of my foolishness, he kept my family covered, and a good wife too. She held it down, man. Wow. I call her the CEO. People ask, "Well, what you do?" She's the CEO. Yeah. She coach. She over the head. I'm the coach. I'm the coach and the quarterback, but she the general manager, I must say, I guess. Yeah. But collectively, man, I don't take it lightly, man. I have a very non-traditional situation. I have an outcome that I don't really get to hear many people testify to.
Right.
And as I moved forward and came home, I decided to go back to school. I went back and graduated from Gaston State.
Wow, okay.
Then I had never been gainfully employed since 16 years old at Food World, bagging groceries. So 40 hours, man. The first time I had to work an 8-hour shift, Lord have mercy. That thing felt like 2 years. I was like, we don't get to go home yet. Y'all stay, how y'all do this? I'm like, I mean, it was a training. He told me, he said, hey, man, I had a cool little young supervisor. He's like, hey, Doc, you just come up here and get you a couple of hours in, man, and learn how to do everything, and I'm going to let you get out of here a little early. So I got up there at 2. About 5, I'm like, I ain't got 3 hours. I see what it is.
Yeah.
I went in there and knocked on his door. He spent around in his chair like, what's up? I said, hey, I was just trying to see what time you want me to get up out of here. He said, man, just going to ride that thing out to 10. I said, 10? Good God Almighty. I said, man, I got to step in from 2 to 10? I said, whoa.
8 whole hours?
Man, I left out there, man. Oh, my God. I was like, man, I don't see how people do it. But guess what? I never stopped doing it. After I got started doing it, I can say I've been working for years now. So
was your mind made up? I'm not going back to.
Oh, for sure, man.
But you knew another way to make more money.
Now, don't get me wrong now.
Yeah.
It was situations that was presented that I had to be intentional to say no. It was times where I can see how if you don't have a plan, man, you definitely going to fail. If you don't have a plan, I mean, people definitely scream about support. Oh, he didn't have a strong support system. But by the grace of God, I did have a strong support system, but I never had nobody to write a paper for me. I never had nobody to take me to class. You have to have some want to.
Yeah.
And I realized what I had been through, but one key thing that happened, I remember when we was locked up, one day it was raining, and Brown versus Board of Education was on, and I was the only person in the TV room. And I was looking at that story about Thurgood Marshall, just really looking at the stuff that minorities and blacks had to go through to get the ability to go to school.
Right.
I looked at all the lives that was lost to establish certain things, and it was like I was convicted, like, man, you got people who done sacrificed and did all this stuff to fight for change, and you part of the problem instead of being part of the solution.
Wow.
And so when I started educating myself on things of that nature, I knew then, hey, let's take this good personality, good attitude, and good things, and now let's take these lived experiences. Now, I did pray for a boldness. I'm like, God, please give me a sense of boldness where I'm not ashamed of where I've been. I want to be transparent.
Yeah.
And that comes with a price sometimes because everybody can't handle transparency.
Right.
But I do know who to give it to and who not to give it to. I mean, it's been Red Ribbon Week this week at school, so I've been doing all my guidance lessons on Red Ribbon Week. But I'm at an elementary school. Yeah. I'm not going in there talking about no fentanyl or no heroin. I talk about healthy choices, and I don't talk about me.
Right.
I might tell them, hey, I've been to the principal office before, but they don't know I've been in the warden's office.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But it's a way to deliver and give you a passion without you don't want to create a curiosity for some. Like you said before, you don't want to glamorize anything you've been through, but you also don't want to create a curiosity by trying to educate people on what not to do. And then you don't want to minimize and make people think, oh, well, if you came out like this, I can make it.
Right.
That's not necessarily true because I got some friends that I had some longer beards than me. I had some friends that died that we used to do business with. I've seen some very bad stories. I know people who lost their kids and didn't get them back. I know people who lost relationships and lost marriages while they was incarcerated and didn't get them back. I know people who lost mom and daddy passed away while they were locked up.
Right.
So by the grace of God,
Yeah.
everything was kind of intact. So I was determined to come back home and say the same people I made cry and pray, I'm going to give them a reason to celebrate.
Yeah. And I hear you saying that, speaking here, or you said with the kids at the school, so forth. So what are you doing? It sounds like you're being impactful with, the next generation and generations.
Well, when I worked at the bridge for a while. Then I became I got hired at drug court in Birmingham. I was a case manager. I worked in the courtroom, and I was helping people get in treatment, getting them off the streets. I was actually able to be a voice to the judge, like, Judge, give him probation. He has this type of problem. This ain't what this is. I was able to use where I had been to actually help other people. And so now I've been in the school system for the last 4 years. I'm a guidance counselor.
Gotcha.
I did the first 2 years as a system-wide social worker. And like I said, I went back and got my bachelor's degree, my master's degree, and I'm currently getting another master's degree.
Oh, wow, man.
But it's just been a fun ride. But like I said, it all makes sense with where I've been to help me get where I'm going.
Gotcha.
And all my life about now is trying to make an impact on somebody else's life and just being authentic and being pure. You know?
You that.
That's,
and that's a
just
good
who
thing.
I am, man.
Yeah. Well, I want you to make an impact on somebody who's watching this right now. You talked about being you were physically away from your children. Now, some people, they're physically away, then others, it's the court system or it's the baby mama won't let them see them, that type of thing. But, you did all you can do to be a father. I'm there in the morning, I'm dropping them off, and then even come after doing your bid, I got to jump back in there and be a father. So that was so important to you. So how important is it to somebody who may be watching who has something that's blocking them from being the father that they can be? And even sometimes you're being blocked by just your own thoughts that you don't have what it takes or whatever. So can you share with somebody who's listening?
First, before I even get into that, just say thank y'all for giving me the opportunity to be on this platform, because everything that was shared was not to glorify anything about me. It was to let everybody know that no matter how bad it seems, how crazy your decisions have been, how bad the circumstances might seem, what in front of you, what's behind you is not bigger than what's in you. what's in you give you the ability to handle what's lying in front of you and figure it out. And your journey might not be like my journey or anybody else's journey, but you got the ability to be great, and your greatness it starts with those kids. Because the first thing I did when I got back home from prison, I started coaching my son. I was keeping him, but he was keeping me. Being involved. Get involved. Get involved and give your kids your best. And giving them your best does not mean it doesn't require you being rich. It doesn't require you to be a doctor or a lawyer. It requires you to just show up and give them some of your time. And you have time every single day. Give them your prayers. Spend time with them. Eat meals with them. Go to church with them. Play with them. Support them. Encourage them. Watch them. Let them read to you. Let them do homework with you. And we can collectively, the whole family gets great together.
Yeah.
So, hey, get up, man. Lift your head up. I know it's been tough. I know it's been rough. I know you don't really like what you're dealing with right now, but you can change it. If I made it out of the things I put myself in, my wounds were self-inflicted. I had self-inflicted wounds. I brought it all on myself. But if I can change, anybody can change. And God will do the same for you that he's done for me, or even more.
I love to hear that, man. And then, you bring it full circle. You come home, you helping train your son, coach him, and now he's still playing ball.
Yeah.
Doing his thing.
Yeah. And I make more emphasis on, I've learned we want our kids to be successful.
Yes.
We want them to be able to get the things that they desire to have the right way.
Yeah.
But most importantly, we want our kids to live a good life, the right life, walk the right way, love the Lord, have a relationship with God. But you want to raise good people.
That's right.
I don't want to put so much emphasis on them, hey, go get rich, go get rich, go this, go do that. Yeah. Just be happy, be a good person. Yeah. So that's why I try to model at this point in my life. I mean, but being a good thing, God gonna give you the other stuff you want too. God didn't say walk with me and you gonna be poor. Yeah. He's gonna bless you, change your life, and trust him. Everything I have more now than I ever had in the streets. Never. I'm talking about, listen to me. I have more going to work and doing the right thing. Since I've been out the streets, I've been able to do some amazing things.
Yeah, yeah.
And God have shown me, you trust me, I'm going to give you everything you thought you could get on your own. Mm-hmm. I probably got 10 times more than now, and more peaceful, more joyful, and able to help other people.
Yeah.
When before I was doing wrong and I was just only helping myself and hurting others. So everything switched back around.
Love to hear it, man. Great time having you here, man. Steve, thank you again, man, for coming and for sharing. I see he got that smile, man. He gonna come light the room up.
Yeah, because
I told y'all.
Part 2 coming.
So we got to have a series going on.
Yeah, man, I appreciate y'all.
I appreciate you, man. Thanks for everything that you share, man. Appreciate you being on Father.
Good deal.
All right, yes, sir.